Hey everybody, what's up? It's Tea with Mike, and I'm super excited to be back with another episode. Got a really cool, awesome guest with lots of different types of experience. Just wanted to thank everybody who's following the Facebook page. If you haven't already, go to check it out, Tea with Mike. Just gonna wait for some people to hop on, and we're gonna bring you some Thursday night entertainment. And here we go. Let's go get straight into this. We all having a really good day. Been really busy, but I'm excited, obviously, to keep doing this, so more people can tell their stories. Hey, Danielle,
Hi,
how's it going?
good. How are you?
Pretty good. So we're just gonna jump right into this.
Okay.
Okay, guys, welcome to Tea with Mike, episode number 17. Joining me today is Danielle Klooster. Thanks for being on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Okay, we're going to start with a little tea fact of the day. Today's tea fact is in 2005, the total value of the worldwide tea market was valued at over $20 billion, and that's according to factretriever.com.
Wow.
And I'm sure it's grown since 2005.
Mm-hmm.
So Danielle, what's your favorite type of tea?
I have fairly eclectic tea taste. Tonight I am drinking here I am drinking here in my Innisfail Chamber of Commerce mug.
Nice,
Thanks.
good promo.
Shout out to them. This tea is from David's Tea. It's called Organic Super Ginger Tea, and
Ooh.
it's from David's Tea. But I brought along my tea basket so you can see that I've got quite like an array of different teas, everything from Tetley to the tea that you get at Glenn's Tea House and a bunch of David's tea that I get as gifts that I don't even know, really what it is. But I'm always excited to try new kinds of tea. So that's super fun.
So how many different types of tea do you think you've tried?
Oh, goodness, I don't know. I really enjoy going to Glenn's restaurant because they have, I don't know how many, 200 or 300 kinds of tea on their menu. So I always try a new one whenever I go there, and I've never been disappointed yet. So it's all good.
Nice. So do you prefer hot teas or cold teas? So like more iced teas?
Yeah, I'm pretty much a hot tea person. I mean, we live in Canada, so there's not too many days when you don't feel like a hot drink, right? So yeah,
Right?
yeah, and I start the day with coffee, but it's always good to switch to tea at some point and save your tummy a little bit.
Nice. I've got my typical favorite tea. Like it's a Yorkshire tea from North Yorkshire in England.
Okay.
It's a, it's a strong black tea. I don't want to tip it too far.
Yeah. What is the symbol on your cup?
Oh, so the symbol on my cup is my favorite football team,
Uh,
so soccer, Manchester City. So this mug is originally from uh, England, and I used to go watch a lot of games when I was in England and stuff. So you got to have a little memorabilia.
Very nice. Very nice.
So, do you want to tell the Tea with Mike audience a little bit about your fascinating background?
Sure. Yeah. So I know that you shared my bio with
Yeah,
on your page already. So
I did.
hopefully people have had a chance to study because there will be a quiz later. Uh, but I just had to swipe a notification. Um, so I've lived in, well, Central Alberta, I've lived since 96, and um, or 94 actually, because I lived in Stettler for a few years and then moved to Red Deer and moved to Penhold in
Nice.
2000. I have always been um, fascinated with writing and have done a lot of writing, and really that's my favorite thing to do. And I also like projects a lot. So, and I like building new things. That's kind of my forte. So after I moved to Penhold, I took a job with the community development department at the town of Penhold. Worked there for about 6 years and decided I wanted to run for council. So you can't work for the municipality and run for council. So I quit that job and took a job at the Red Deer Chamber of Commerce doing policy and communications, and ran for council, served on council for
Nice.
2 terms, 6 years. And it was a wonderful experience. And it was really cool to be working at the chamber at the same time, because in my role with doing policy at the chamber, we were doing a lot of advocacy to all levels of government. And so it was kind of fascinating to be at it from both sides, right? Doing advocacy with my municipality and working in my municipality for its for progress, and at the same time advocating on behalf of business to all levels of government. So really got it kind of into the mechanics of how government works and how effective advocacy works. And um, then I decided I wanted to run provincially, and I ran in 2012 for the first time. And I'm not the MLA, so you can tell how that went. Uh, so I was doing economic development also when I was with the chamber, and after the election, I took a job doing economic development, business retention, and expansion. And we did a lot of investment attraction. So there was, where you're working to invite people to come to Central Alberta and open offices or manufacturing plants or start businesses, or get
Nice.
into relationships with local businesses, build the local economy, right? And when I was doing that job, we had attracted one company from Miami
Oh wow.
to open a Canadian subsidiary. And in the process of working with them to come to put their Canadian head office in Red Deer, they they recruited me to run that subsidiary, build that subsidiary. So that was a fascinating thing. I didn't do it for long because I I kind of felt like from day one, like I'd entered some kind of social experiment to see how much
Oh
frustration one person can take, right? So it was,
yes.
yeah. So it was tough slugging, and I decided that I would, you know, like the typical path is you have a professional life and you work your professional life, and then at the end of your professional life you retire and go consulting, right? And so I expected that to kind of be my path. Um, and but I decided when I was doing this job that I was going to hang my shingle out early and see what would happen.
Nice. Good
And
for you.
yeah, so within a short amount of time, I had enough work to actually leave that job. I thought I would sort of work my way out of it, but it went much more quickly, and that was really based on the strength of the relationships that I'd built up over the years, and just building a reputation in the community, and having a really strong network. And so that really benefited me in the long run. I started out thinking that I was going to mainly offer professional writing services, because I could see that there was a need for that. But the community kept coming to me and asking me, would you help with this? Would you help with that? Would you help with this other? And so my practice has morphed into organizational development. So those are some big 50-cent words that mean that I help businesses, organizations, municipalities build capacity with strategy, planning, and leadership development.
Nice. So a lot of different things then.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite a variety of things, which I love. It's nice to have a variety of projects to keep my interest, and to really expand my portfolio too. So yeah, it's been good.
Nice.
Mhm.
So what does a typical day kind of look like in your world at the moment?
So I have started training myself to sleep in until like 5:45, which is good because because for the longest time I was waking up at 5 and I just that was it. I was just done sleeping at 5. Oh my gosh. Um, but I've managed to sort of get myself into a rhythm of sleeping in a little bit more. And I get up and I have a podcast that I listen to called Before Breakfast with Laura
Oh, cool.
Vanderkam. It's just 5 minutes a day, and it's all about productivity and time management, and it really kind of helps you think about how to be more productive and manage your time more effectively. So that's a great way to start the day. And I also subscribe to Darren Hardy's Darren Daily, which is a motivational uh, video that comes through your email Monday to Friday. And it's usually about 3 to 5 minutes, again, just kind of pumping you up and getting your perspective right for the day and helping you maximize your effectiveness and productivity. So I listen to those two things first thing in the day. Um, Usually go on Facebook and check my email, and then get some breakfast, and then sit down to
Nice.
start doing work. Now, I mean, the way I try to structure my week is I try really hard. It doesn't always work, but I try to reserve Mondays and Fridays as desk days and not book appointments on those days,
Oh, okay.
because every time you go to a meeting, that results in work, right? And if you don't ever have time at
Yeah.
your desk, when do you get the work done, right? And
Right.
so I try to do that, but not always successful because other people's schedules and whatnot too. But if I have appointments, I'll go into Red Deer from Penhold and meet with people, or I have clients come out here to my place as well if we're doing, some strategy where I need to drag out the flip chart and whatever.
Nice.
Yeah, and I have a couple of actually great businesses right here in Penhold that I coach, and so that's kind of nice to be supporting local folks here as well. So quite a variety of things between doing project work, a lot of Skype, a lot of Zoom, a lot of going to appointments and meetings and a variety of things. And right now I'm actually writing a book, so I am really working hard to try and carve out time to write and not be distracted with, oh,
Oh,
there's 6 emails I need to answer right now, or, those sorts of things. So it's super great to be able to work from home. Um, I have tried, and different things work for different people, but I have tried sitting out in the comfy chair in the living room
yeah.
and sitting with my laptop out there. Doesn't really work. My mindset is
Does
completely different out there. Um,
doesn't work for me either.
yeah, I'm just in this mentality of I'm relaxing right now and I'm having downtime, and so
Yes.
I'm not very productive. It's much more
Me too.
productive to come into the office, sit down at the computer, and focus in here. And don't have a pot of anything on the stove when you do that, because you will forget it. That's
Does that happen?
oh yeah, yeah, a few times. So.
Nice. So what's kind of I guess what do you enjoy the most about what you currently do?
Mhm.
If you had to pick one thing
Oh, one thing.
within it,
Uh, you know,
what gets you out of bed each day? Then I guess that's how we could
yeah,
phrase the question.
that my very favorite thing to do. I mean, I really I enjoy writing, and I'm kind of feel like I'm born to write, and I'm super excited that I've started now, and it was always something I was going to do someday. But there's no time like the present, so I'm doing that now. So I really like writing, but honestly, I really love facilitating as well. Like that is something that I just really is gratifying to work with an organization on their strategic plan, or on their team charters or on a communications or marketing strategy, and to just dig in and facilitate with them and pull the treasure out of them and help them get clarity on the path forward, and seeing those aha moments for them, and really feeling like um, I'm helping them advance their organization. I just get a lot out of that. I mean, it's tiring when you do it for a full day for sure,
Mm.
but when I'm there, it's like the adrenaline is going, and I'm like the hockey player of facilitators, right? Like you
Nice.
just go and do it.
So how many hours do you like typically work a day, or does it fluctuate?
It definitely fluctuates. Um, I like to definitely try and keep it, around between 35 and 40 hours a week, if I can. That doesn't always work because of people's schedules, and it's better for me to, so like let's say I have some daytime appointments, but they're scattered, and there's time in between, and then I have an evening appointment. It can be hard to like work and then get out of the work groove and then go back into the work groove and then get out
Yeah.
and then go back, right? So it's better for me to kind of try to keep working. Now, not that I haven't gone shopping in between appointments, because
That's research, right? Research and development.
absolutely, that's a thing. You have to stay on top of these things. And I'm supporting the local economy. So,
Nice.
but it is better. It's harder on the mindset, right, to pop in and out of work. So it's better if I have time between appointments and I'm in Red Deer. It's better if I just go to a coffee shop and continue working in between, right? So it might look like I'm working a lot, uh, but uh, that I don't do anything I don't want to do. Like, it's not like it's drudgery and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Nice.
she works so
Not
much.
stuck behind a desk 9 to 5.
Yeah, it's not drudgery at all. It's like stuff that brings me joy and is life-giving for me, and um, I'm into all of it, right? So
That's the dream.
it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm working. So I mean, not I don't love everything,
Of
there's
course.
parts of doing different projects that people you just don't love, but and so that can feel like work. But at the end of the day, when you produce something that's really great, a strategy that's really, you see that it's going to really be a great thing, I'm very satisfied with that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So just switching gears a little bit. So you were nominated for the 2019 Red Deer and District Women Award, correct?
Yeah, the Red Deer
For that
District Community Foundation's Women of Excellence
community
Awards.
foundation.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
actually,
and, and
Penhold Town Council actually nominated me, so that was a real honor.
that's awesome. And so you're nominated in the category of community, correct?
Yes. Hmm.
So do you just want to touch base on the important role that the communities firstly play, and then the role that you personally play within your community
Hmm.
that you feel might have led to the excellent
Hmm.
nomination?
Hmm. Well, in the years between, I mean, there was the years that I worked for the town, and then there were the years on council, and we accomplished so much. Like, as I reflect on it, when we were, going through the nomination process and reflecting on the accomplishments, like, wow, we did so much, and there's so much to be proud of. We built a multiplex. We saw a lot of commercial development come in. There were several community programs that I was able to help initiate in the community that are still going on to this day.
Nice.
We facilitated some community conversation around, like, what are the problems that we're really facing here, and what do we want to do about them? And that led us to look at how do we design our community culture how are we going to be purposeful and intentional about deciding what we want our community to be? What when our kids reach adulthood and they're the adults in this community, what kind of community are we giving them to inherit? And we created a model called Penhold Shares. And that means Penhold is supportive, healthy, accepting, responsible, ever active, and safe. And the whole community rallied around the Penhold Shares model, and it is still active in the community to this day. Every community group can take the shares principles and make the decisions in their work, in their area of influence, based on what we want the community to be. You know, you either design your community or it is designed by default. And when you let it fall to the lowest common denominator, you know, you run the risk of those negative
Nice. Yeah.
forces kind of taking precedence, right?
Overpowering.
So,
Yep.
I really loved doing that work, and I'm super proud of the accomplishments for Penhold and how we really kind of put Penhold on the map in many ways. And the size of the community has doubled, the culture of the community has
That's
changed.
good.
Yeah, it's a wonderful community to be part of, and I'm
And I'm sure that work's still ongoing, right?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, you bet. Yeah, and I'm going to do some work coming up with um, the Safe Community Crime Prevention Local Committee and help them. And it's been great to help the local community ties daycare and the before and after school
Right.
programs and all those sorts of things. So
All very important things that contribute to the bigger community, right?
absolutely, like I always say that before I ran for council, I kind of thought that politics was going to be about purpose and people and passion, and it turns out it's about poop, parks, and pavement, right? and and it's hard not to get focused on just the sewer lines and the budget and
Mm,
and those are all like critical parts of running of being in a community. Everybody wants things to go away when they flush, uh,
yeah.
but but the social fabric of a community, we just don't really appreciate enough how really important social development is and social capacity is in a community. And when we live somewhere, we want to be connected to our neighbors, and we want to feel safe, and we want to feel like we have rich lives, and we're part of a community. And so that is something that's been a priority for me to throughout my time in community development and on town council and since. Yeah.
Nice. Can you do you want to touch a little bit more on? Oh, I guess you already kind of did. But do you want to talk a little bit about how business and community
Hmm.
can work together to achieve
Sure.
good things? I
Yeah.
guess we'll keep it broad.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that some of that people think like there's business over here, and there's the social development or the not-for-profit community over here, and that there's this like wall in between them, and that and when it's kind of funny because when I worked in community development, I worked with not-for-profits, and I was in the social sector and I was in the not-for-profit sector. And
Okay.
when I went to work at the chamber, people kind of like felt like I'd crossed the floor or something. Like um, uh, the social sector did not have necessarily the best view of business and the business community, because there's just this perception that they're just um, about profit, right? That their
Mm.
whole raison d'etre is to generate
To make
profit
money.
and line their own pockets, right?
Yeah.
And the business community, on the other hand, struggles because the not-for-profit community, they perceive that the not-for-profit community just always wants to pick their pocket, like they're persona non grata, they're just a pocket to be picked, and that the social community is always coming at them to ask them for money.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of a language barrier there. There's a disconnect between the two um, subsets of community. And so it's been a real privilege and pleasure to be able to build bridges between the two communities and help overcome that language barrier and help the not-for-profit and social sector understand that business people are also people and that they live in communities and they want rich lives and they want healthy families and social good just as much as the social sector does. And helping to bridge some of those gaps between the two communities and helping people sort of get the sense that let's engage with each other. Let's build relationships and let's base it on conversation, not what you can give me or what I can give you or what that kind of transactional stuff is good and necessary, but
Yeah.
it isn't relationship, right? Like if you walk
Okay.
into my place of business and say, would you please support me and give me a check? And I do that and you walk away, that okay, but we haven't built a relationship, right? We haven't
No.
engaged, and I might even get some benefit out of it, and you might get some benefit out of it, but we haven't built a relationship. So we all live together in community, and we need to sit down and talk about the things that affect us, the struggles we're having. There's struggles in business, there's struggles in the social sector, and let's solve these together and let's work together. That we need the business community. Like the economy is based on business, so we need
Right.
successful, sustainable businesses. And if they aren't profitable, then they can't exist. And if they aren't profitable, then the local economy and the local community suffers and struggles. So we want
Yeah.
business to succeed. We want them to be profitable, and we want them to be prosperous. But we
So
also,
you def
sorry,
no, go ahead.
but we also want social good, and we want to we don't want to see our friends and neighbors struggling. We want everybody to have a rich, fulfilling life, and we can do that together.
So you think both of them can work hand in hand for the greater good?
Hmm. It's about, it's really about finding common ground. When people get entrenched into I'm over here and you're over here and never the twain shall meet, um, uh, it's just because we haven't worked to find the common ground. What are the common threads that unite us, that bring us together, and how do we build on that common ground, to work together to build a really strong community?
Nice.
Hmm.
So, as I kind of already know, you have like such a wide range, lots of different unique skills. How did you end up with a skill set so you diverse?
Hmm. uh, Different jobs. You know what? So here's the thing: is that when I was in grade 9, you took this aptitude test, right, to see what you would want to be or do. And
Okay.
I was like, I'm 14. I'm supposed to know what I want to do or be. I knew I wanted to write and I knew I wanted to sing, but those weren't on the jobs list,
Yes, of course.
right? And so it's like you're before you go into high school, you're sort of supposed to have an idea of what courses you want to take in high school that are going to help move you. And our thinking is so centered around workforce. We're not educating people just so that they can be trained workers and to be a workforce. We're training an
Yeah.
educated society. We're educating our children, so that we can have a rich society with a great variety of different things, and we can all be healthy, wealthy, and wise together. And
Right.
so what I found out was that, and the statistics now clearly bear out that people change career paths. And I'm not talking about jobs, I'm talking about career paths every 5 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So So the things,
That's like 10 different career paths, at
absolutely,
least.
that's the average. That's the average.
Oh,
So
it is.
so there now, it's sort of the industrial way of thinking and the post World War II era way of thinking, where you like get out of school and you either take post secondary or you take a trade or you go get a job. You stay there for 30, 40 years. You never
Yeah.
leave, and
And
then
you
you
retire.
retire, and
Yeah.
6 months later you have a heart attack, and that's your life. and
Yeah.
and you have a house and you have a vacation and you have a RV, and this is your life. I want more, and I think most people, don't want to settle for that. They want more, and uh, so I didn't even know that economic development was a job when I was 20. I didn't know that was a thing that a
Mm.
person could do, and but it's a job I ended up doing, right? So you have the basic skill set and the basic sort of education that helps get you going. Uh, and I believe in being open to opportunities and building relationships. So I've been very blessed in my life to be open to opportunities, adapt to new opportunities. When I get into a new opportunity that comes to me or that seems interesting to me, then I'll go and take training and take education to make sure that I'm proficient at it and can succeed. And so that has led to, quite a wide variety of different pieces of training and education that I've taken. And that just means that I'm able to do a lot of different things. And if it fascinates
That's
me,
cool.
if the basic premises are, if I'm learning and I'm helping, I want to do that,
Nice.
you know? So,
So, so,
yeah.
so, so, do you think you should always say yes to a new opportunity? Do you should well
Yeah.
should you always say yes?
I think you should always say yes to a meeting. I
Okay.
often say when I'm speaking at colleges or what have you, always take the meeting. People that get into the mindset of what's the value for me? Why would I take this meeting? And they start to assess whether or not they'll take the meeting or not. They miss out on a lot of opportunity that could be really beneficial. So I always say take the meeting. You never know. You never know where
Right.
that's going to lead. I've had coffee with people in 2007 that has come back to benefit me in 2019, right? And
Oh wow.
and
Okay.
you just don't know. And even if it doesn't benefit me, if it benefits them, great. Like,
That's good.
super. Um,
And you had coffee too.
yeah, yes, exactly.
Buddy.
But so I don't say take every opportunity. There comes a point when you have to know the difference between can and should, right? And you can get overextended if you're taking every opportunity, and then you can't execute. And in that whole overpromise underdeliver thing, you end up with a brand problem. You end up with you're stressed out trying to meet everybody's expectations and meet deadlines and whatnot. So I've been down that road. So I have learned over the years that no, you can't say yes to everything. You do need to assess what you can manage. You only get one you, and you have to last a really long time. And
Nice.
that you want to be excellent at what you do, and you want to be impeccable with your word, and you want to do all those things. So that means limiting the amount of engagements that you can take and the amount of opportunities that you can take. Yeah.
Interesting. So it's all about saying yes to the meeting, but you have to know when it's a good fit for the potential opportunity.
You have to kind of look at one of the things that I'll do when I'm coaching entrepreneurs who are in startup, or even if they're already in businesses, we'll actually calculate the number of hours that they have to do their work and the number of hours it takes to do their work. And typically they're anywhere from 20 to 50 hours over the amount of time that they have and the amount
Oh,
of
okay.
time that they need. And they just believe, oh, I can get it done. I'll just slip that in. Well, that won't take long. And that is a mistaken belief that is going to run you into trouble, and it won't help you be sustainable in the long run, right? Um, so you have to manage your time wisely, and that you can make more money, but you can't make more time. Time is a finite resource, and you just got to watch that. The other thing is that I've come to understand and be okay with the fact that I'm a builder. So
Okay.
I'm not a manager per se. I'm not if an organization wanted me to come in to build something or manage a change process or something like that, and it had a shelf life even of up to 2-3 years, as long as I'm building something, then I can stay there and be engaged. But I'm just not hardwired to stay and manage an organization, you know, once it's built and steady and
Okay.
stable.
Okay.
That's not me. So
Nice.
recognizing that, people will bring opportunities to me to be the executive director of this or that, and
Cool.
I if there isn't some major kind of organizational shift or change that's required, that there's a project that I can dig into and it has a beginning, middle, and end, I know that I'm not going to serve them well because I'm not built for that and I shouldn't do it.
Nice. So how long did it take you to get to that stage where you, like, when you knew
Hmm.
you were a builder and that's what you enjoyed doing?
Hmm. Yeah, probably only really the last maybe 3 or 4 years have I really come to. I
Okay.
kind of knew that about myself, somewhere back here, right in the back of your brain, but I always thought that it was a fault. I always thought that,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
why do I get bored after, like, why?
Mm,
And I thought it was a bad thing that I just wasn't disciplined and I just wasn't, you know, committed and then I just realized, no, I'm actually built this way and it's okay. I should do things that I'm hardwired to do and not do the things that I'm not hardwired to do. So knowing that, I can serve organizations or businesses or folks, for a definitive length of time and really exponentially move them forward, um, and do well. But it's not going to be, you know, a long-term commitment.
nice. Awesome. So let's switch it up a
Yeah.
little bit. Do you have any kind of like questions for me?
Yeah, well, I know
Let's
that
go.
you just finished the Media Studies and Professional Communications program.
Yeah, that's
Congratulations.
correct.
Very, very good.
Well, actually, not quite finished. I'm currently doing my
Oh,
practicum
right. So where are you doing that?
at an organization in town in the marketing department. So that's
Wonderful.
got off to a good start.
Hmm. So what is your hope? What are your hopes and dreams for Tea with Mike in particular?
Two with Mike, I am dreaming as big as the sky's the limit, right? Eventually, I want to grow this like globally, into a very interactive community where other people eventually start uploading like conversations they've had with different people that they've met, inspired off like this is like the original basically, and then other people can like upload their stuff and then have some like discussion forums and then that sort of thing. So just gonna keep scaling it up
Right?
bit by bit.
And for what purpose? Just to build a global community of people talking to each other and building relationships?
Yeah, that's kind of the main reason why I started it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, and then eventually there's a lot to do as you know when you're starting a new project. So eventually this will be in like a podcast format, and it'll be on YouTube. Just started someone I know has started helping me like edit some of the like episodes and
Hmm.
stuff, and just keep improving like the overall production quality and just keep engaging with people every day to like build the community.
Right. And so it kind of reminds me, it's kind of interesting. There used to be an iPad app where you could go online and you could like blow into your phone or playing music in your phone, and somebody across the
Okay.
world could play with you at the same time in real time, so somebody in India could like harmonize with you while you were, it was,
Oh yeah, I forgot what it's
yeah,
called,
but it was
but I
amazing.
know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
it was like,
And then you can sing too,
yeah,
right?
yeah, several years
Yeah.
ago. But I just thought that that was the coolest thing, that I could be harmonizing with somebody in, Bangladesh or Siberia or whatever in
Yeah.
real time at the same time. And it just really gave you a sense of, it really made the world much smaller and gave you a sense of we're
Mm.
all people together. And
And
yeah, that's wonderful.
and then eventually it'll be super cool if things plan out the way that I'm writing a business plan right now to help develop it, because you got to do everything from a plan.
Yep.
So eventually it would be super cool to do Tea with Mike like live in different countries around the world.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a crazy idea that
Right.
I have.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That is very cool. And so then they'd all be drinking tea with you. And
Yeah, and then also do some more like in-person Tea with Mikes to mix it out, right?
mm-hmm. And then you'll be jet setting around the world to go have tea in Turkey.
Yes, which is the country that consumes the most tea, as we learned on a previous episode of Tea with Mike.
There you go. Yeah. I'd love to go drink tea there myself. So great.
Yeah, so that's kind of the goal with Tea with Mike right now. Even already, like connecting with some really cool, diverse, unique people, all with their own stories to tell in
Mm-hmm.
like different ways. So so there's a big waiting list to be on the show, which is
Oh, awesome.
humbling, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, and scary at the same time. So
Mm-hmm.
just trying to work my way through the list.
Sure. Great. And is that really mostly local right now? To,
No, it's a whole combination of local people, which is important because going back to the community aspect, but also there's a significant international like portion of people that want to be on the show, so that's cool too.
mm-hmm. And so that is, so this is kind of your long-term plan, is to build the Tea with Mike empire.
Yeah,
And oh, awesome.
maybe one day come out with my own tea brand.
Absolutely. Why not?
Yeah, this is a life project.
Oh, that's excellent. Excellent. And so, um, where do you see what's your 5-year goal?
5 year goal. Probably for the next year to three, like I'll probably get a job at an organization, get some solid like business experience working for an organization, because there's a lot of skills you can
Yep.
learn like within how you're putting out the messages using their brand versus your own, and so I'll probably do that, and then hopefully in 5 years time, if everything works out, I'll be a full-time entrepreneur, just building Tea with Mike, and I got some other business ideas with some
Mm-hmm.
other people too. That's the goal.
Awesome. So, because you've decided to build a brand with this, online presence, and the purpose, the mission is to build community around the world and facilitate conversations. What message do you want the world to get out of this?
Out of Tea with Mike as a whole.
Like, if
Oh,
you
okay,
could
sure,
sit
yeah.
down right now and say, I rang the bell, I succeeded, I'm done because the world heard this and got it. What do you want the world to know?
Sure. Tea with Mike is about everybody. It's about community, the ability to hold a conversation, the ability to be able to, I guess, network in a variety of ways, but more importantly, networking comes because you're interested in having a conversation with someone versus that there's an opportunity like immediately. Yeah, so that's another portion.
Mm-hmm.
And just to hear people's cool, unique stories. Those are kind of the big reasons, because we've got into a world that's full of digital and technology, and of course I'm a fan of that too, and there's a certain amount of that that's just in the world, but we need to remember how we first came to the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what's cool about it, from my perspective, is that particularly as marketing has evolved and technology has evolved and social media has evolved, advertising has evolved, there is so much noise. Like
Yeah.
the talking space is really noisy and really busy. And yet we're less connected to each other than ever. And so the opportunity to use that technology and use that social media and
In a positive way.
using a
Yeah.
marketing framework as a way of actually facilitating meaningful connections, like real connections where people build relationships and it's not just more noise in the space. For me, that's a very cool thing. So
As
congratulations.
Thank you. And I guess just echoing what you said, I didn't mention it, but this show's all just about positive and unique stories. We don't talk about negative topics. I avoid certain topics on this show specifically
Right.
for a reason, because the controversial, it's been done already.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want this to be a positive, safe
Mm-hmm.
space for everybody
Mm-hmm.
to tell their story.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Good work. Great. Well, you're doing a great job, and you're building something special, and obviously, obviously, there's interest, so that's all good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, well, well, I always like to end the show on a really like high, energetic note. So we'll end it there. So
Okay.
guys, so thank you, Danielle, for being on the show and sharing all of your expertise and knowledge and your passion for the community. Good luck on your nomination.
Thank you.
When do you find out?
The banquet is June 19th, and they'll
Also
announce it
coming
at the
up.
banquet, so it'll be a total surprise until the night.
As keep me informed on that
Will
one.
do.
Okay, guys, this was Tea with Mike, episode number 17. Thank you so much for joining. I'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye bye.